Happy New Year, everybody.
Happy New Year indeed. 2022 was a bit rough on some folks, but it was also quite a year of growth for visual effects and animation yet again. I think every studio I know is once again fully saturated with work and having a difficult time trying to find artists. Nothing has changed there. And that's a good thing. It's a good thing for the industry. It's a good thing for us. It's really great to see such strength and growth in the industry, even during these so-called recessionary times. We're still seeing a lot of growth and a lot of expansion within the visual effects and animation industry. To start with, I was promoted this year from a senior solutions architect to a principal solutions architect. So this enhances my role a little bit within the organization and allows me to help team build and process build across media and entertainment, but of course with a specific focus on visual effects and animation. My wife Johanna was also promoted this year, so she's back to being a line producer, running her own show at an animation studio. She was also elected this year to the Vancouver chapter of the Visual Effects Society, so she's now a member of the local board. Congratulations, Johanna. My YouTube channel, A Cup of Joe. In the last 12 months, I've gotten over 26,000 views. I've added 400 subscribers, and I'm just around a dozen subscribers away from 1,000. That's a real big milestone with YouTube. So if you haven't subscribed to my channel already, please do subscribe. Another big thing this year is my new second channel, and that's RVing with Joe. I'll put a link to it below, but it's blown up compared to my rendering channel. Who would have known that more people were interested in camping and RVing than rendering and dealing with storage for visual effects? But needless to say, it's been about 65 days since I started this channel, and I've gotten over 40,000 views. I've gotten nearly 400 subscribers, and I'm putting out a lot of content on that channel. So that's why you're seeing me here just a little less lately. I'm putting a lot of energy into getting that one ramped up, and I expect it to be monetized within, I don't know, a month or two. So that's a pretty big one for me. But enough about my channel. Now let's talk about TPN Plus. That's right, the Motion Picture Association Trusted Partner Network. That's the security apparatus, or the security arm of the Motion Picture Association. Well, they've released TPN Plus, which is a revamp of the entire auditing process, and it breaks it down to just 67 controls that you need to comply with. It used to be hundreds. It's also much better designed for web services, software as a service, various cloud kind of packages. It's not just about the on-prem security anymore. It's much more adapted to the new post-pandemic work from home environment. So kudos to the Trusted Partner Network for really putting out this new framework, which is much better fit and should allow for a more streamlined approach for the studios and the vendors. 5 letters, KNFSD, that the studios are using to replace the Avere caching system, which was purchased by Microsoft. The caching mechanism is something you put in front of your filer, either to improve storage latency or to deal with latency over a long distance between two locations. Because Microsoft bought that and made it really more applicable to Azure, both Amazon and Google had worked with studios to deploy KNSFD, which is also used on-prem and locally to replace Avere caches. So it's not really specific to cloud, but it's definitely used by the cloud providers now. So look it up, KNSFD, which leads us to AWS. Amazon has released ThinkBox Deadline for free. So you now have another choice joining Sony and Google's OpenQ for a free render manager. And the reality is this is far more push button than the open source version of OpenQ that's out there for you to download. So now you can render on-prem or out on the cloud using Deadline. So give it a try. The next one is the battle over work from home continues. There's still a big push from the artist community to stay in a work from home environment, But we do know that there's pushback from the studios. We find, though, that when the studios do push back and ask people to come in, there's fallout. And we find out that some shows that are insisting that their staff for their shows be on site, well, we're finding that those shows often get the B-level artists because the A-level artists are insisting to work from home. So the battle still continues, and now we're starting to see layoffs via work from home or layoffs over Zoom. Some people seem to have a problem with that. In my opinion, if you advocate for work from home, well, then you have to advocate for layoffs from home too, right? They can't call you in just once just to lay you off. That seems a little ridiculous. So as long as work from home is continuing to expand, expect the layoffs from home to also take effect. AMD has been taking away market share from Intel, and rightfully so, given the power of the EPYC and Threadripper chips. Now, we at Studio Cloud have deployed well over 300,000 cores now. I can't wait to do our tally here at the beginning of the year. I wouldn't be surprised if we're closing in on 400,000 cores now. And this is mainly because of the power of the EPYC, the power of all those cores, and the fact that those cores are running faster, and basically it's a better architecture. We'll see what Intel does here over the next year or two. I do expect them to fight back here. Intel is a very large organization, so it may take them a little bit to bring product to market that's going to beat AMD, but I expect that they will be giving them a run for their money. And of course, AMD has been, aggressively getting market share, and their stock price and now pressure is on to sort of make money, not just market share, I guess you'd say. That's just my opinion given what I've read on Wall Street. But needless to say, AMD is in a great position, and we strongly partner with them in our company to deploy these render nodes, these Dell render nodes, just loaded with EPYC chips. Again, 512 cores. It's a real powerhouse, and it's a very dense form of rendering when you look at the physical architecture. And that covers AMD. So now let's talk about artificial intelligence in visual effects. Between Midjourney and DALL-E, there's been a lot of debate within the artistic community, especially the concept artists, over the last year, over the growth of AI. The fact there's actual jobs now in visual effects and in artificial intelligence where your job is just to use keywords to create images. It's a whole new world for sure. On top of that, we have ChatGPT and other AI-based tools that are coming out that are definitely blowing minds. And then, of course, in the traditional sense of match move and wire removal and deep fakes, which are now being used in a very automated machine learning style. There's a lot of growth here in the visual effects industry. For the most part, it's creating new jobs rather than taking down jobs, but we know that there's going to be some give and take in that area. So there's a lot of controversy over the use of artificial intelligence in visual effects and animation. Which takes us to the next item. Mergers and acquisitions. It's another year where the studios have been gobbling up each other. First, we have Sony, who bought Pixmundo. Pixmundo has studios around the world. I think they're originally out of Germany, but they have big growth within the United States and other parts of the world. And now Sony, the same company that owns Sony ImageWorks, bought them. So I believe that puts them sort of as sister organizations within the Sony family. The next one is Netflix, which purchased Animalogic and Scanline. So Animalogic being an animation company, Scanline being more focused on visual effects. Netflix has purchased them. That means that now they can get their slate taken care of. I don't know what kind of exclusivity that creates. I mean, it's always interesting when your competitor owns the studio that you're looking to get your work done at. It can be a little awkward, right, when you're trying to bid out work to a studio that's owned by your competitor. I mean, Disney's been doing this for a while with ILM, and so it's interesting to see which studios actually send work to Scanline and Animalogic, given that paradigm. I'm not worried about anybody running out of work in this industry, not this year. And third is Cinesite. Now, Cinesite has already been on a tear starting last year and into this year with a lot of acquisitions. They've either purchased a majority stake in Assemblage, Trickster, FX3X, Squeeze Animation, L'Atelier Animation. They already own Image Engine and Nitrogen, which they recently purchased as well. This is huge. I mean, Cinesite's really grown to be now one of the biggest companies out there, right alongside DNEG and other large studios that are redefining what a large studio looks like. It's also worth noting that Cinesite just announced that it clinched a $285 million funding package, which will only expand their capabilities and their ability to grow into this bigger, larger footprint that they've created. We expect to see this happening more. Since the pandemic, there's been a lot of small studios that have now started to grow and grow and grow. And I expect some of those will be acquired by these larger studios as people look to lock in their slate and lock in their footprint. Of course, there was more than just what I talked about here. I just needed to grab a few of the juiciest nuggets of what I thought happened this year. But it was a very, very busy year. I expect 2023 to be another banner year. I expect more growth in the AMD Dell market. I expect storage systems will continue to grow. I think we've seen Vast, the company, come in and sort of redefine a little bit what maybe tierless and all flash looks like. Even if they haven't taken over the industry, they've certainly redefined the discussion. And of course, the employment crunch is continuing. So, as we see these so called recessionary times come at us, we will see if actual layoffs happen. And if a few layoffs happen, rest assured, there is so much froth in the market. There's so much need to get people into seats that even if there's a few layoffs, those will be immediately absorbed by the rest of the industry. Again, thanks everybody for your attention on this channel. I hope everybody has a happy new year. Yes, I've been putting out a few less videos while I focus on my other channel that I've linked below, but I'm still going to be making videos for this channel, and I've got a whole slate of videos and interviews that I want to line up for the next couple of months. So stay tuned. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already subscribed. I'm almost at 1,000 subscribers. I'm so close. Must be a dozen away, and you can help by subscribing. So please subscribe to this channel if you haven't already. Have a great new year.
Happy New Year, everybody. Happy New Year, everybody. Happy New Year, everybody.
So congratulations to Johanna. That's right. It's a board, was it Vancouver? To the Vancouver chapter of the Visual Effects Society, their general localized board. It's a board. It's still a board. You're right. It's not the chapter. You weren't elected to the chapter.
It is, but it's the Vancouver chapter of
Okay.
the Visual Effects.
Sorry. Yeah, okay. This is why I'm thinking of my recordings. Stop.
Sorry. I'm stopping.
This is Cup Joe, man.
It was